Hello there, my name is ASharkey, and the topic I'll be discussing during this presentation today is noise pollution and health. Here you can see the table of contents for this presentation. First, we'll go through the objective of this analysis. Then we'll discuss 5 figures. First, we'll look at the effects of noise. Then we'll review a list of common noises and their potential impact on health. Next, I'll present a map of the world's noisiest cities. Then we'll review the number of people in Europe exposed to noise levels above 55 decibels. And for the final figure, we'll look at the association between road traffic noise exposure in Berlin and the relative risk of myocardial infarction. Finally, we'll review a brief summary with the key takeaways from this presentation. The objective of this presentation is to explore the relationship between noise pollution and health, and to understand how noise pollution, which can be caused by sources such as traffic, construction, or transportation, to name a few, impacts human health. For reference, according to the EPA, the traditional definition of noise is unwanted or disturbing sound. Sound becomes unwanted when it either interferes with normal activities such as sleeping, conversation, or disrupts or diminishes one's quality of life. Historically, noise pollution has not received much attention, especially compared to other types of pollution such as air or water pollution. On this slide, figure 1, titled Select Effects of Noise, illustrates the mechanism through which noise can be harmful to health and provides an overview of some of the acute and chronic effects. This figure shows that the primary exposure, which is the unwanted noise, causes acute effects which may include decreased sleep quality, increased annoyance, agitation, stress, distraction, impaired task performance, and a temporary change in hearing. These acute effects can lead to multiple chronic effects, such as hypertension, reduced learning, endocrine disruption, or even disturbances in mental health. Chronic effects such as hypertension and endocrine disruption can then lead to long-term risks like heart disease. Temporary changes in hearing loss can also, over a long period of time, result in permanent hearing loss. Figure 2 shows a table with a list of common noises and their potential impacts on health. I really included this slide for reference so that you can place a decibel level with some common sounds. You can see the noise listed in the first column and the decibel level of that is associated with that noise in the second column. At less than 30 decibels, which is the level of a soft whisper, effects are minimal. But as decibel levels increase, adverse effects can be seen. Once you get over 130 decibels, which is the level of a jackhammer or an airplane taking off, the noise can be acutely painful. And what I'd particularly like to focus on in this presentation is the impact of road traffic noise, which includes things like freeway traffic, car horns, and ambulances, all of which are highlighted here. And you'll see that they fall within the range of 70 to 120 decibels, which can be harmful to health. Figure 3 is a map of the world that shows the cities with the most noise pollution. You can see that the darker the circle, the more noise pollution. There are callouts on the map for top 5 cities with the most noise pollution. In order, those are Guangzhou, Delhi, Cairo, Mumbai, and Istanbul. For reference, New York City ranks 32nd on this list. And you can see a lot of the world's noisiest cities are in Asia. But there's also a concentration of cities with high noise pollution in Europe, which is where I'll focus for the next 2 slides. Figure 4 is a bar chart that shows the number of people in Europe who are exposed to noise levels above 55 decibels by category. If you recall from figure 2, 55 decibels is a level in which we start to see increasing risks to health. So on the left side of this bar chart, you can see the number of people impacted by roads, railways, airports, and industry in urban areas. On the right, you can see the number of people impacted by roads, railways, and airports outside of urban areas. It makes sense that more people are exposed in urban areas since that's where the population is denser. About 73 million people are exposed to noise over 55 decibels from roadways in urban areas in Europe. In figure 5, the final figure, we're looking here at the association between road traffic noise exposure in Berlin and the relative risk of heart attack or myocardial infarction. You can see that a high percentage of people are exposed to a lower level of sound. In this case, 80% of the population is exposed to decibel levels of less than 55. The percentage of people exposed drops pretty drastically as the decibel level increases until we get to only 0.6% of the population in Berlin being exposed to decibel levels over 75. However, the relative risk of having a heart attack increases as the decibel level increases. Individuals exposed to the loudest noises are at an increased risk, about 30% higher, of having a heart attack compared to people exposed to noises that are not as loud. In summary, noise pollution is an often overlooked source of pollution with the potential to cause acute, chronic, and long-term impacts on health. Negative health outcomes may include permanent hearing loss, heart disease, or mental health issues. As the decibel level of noises increases, the risk of negative health outcomes increases, as we saw on the prior slide looking at road traffic exposure in Berlin. In the future, noise pollution needs more attention, and we need policies to reduce the negative health impacts on the population around the world. And on this final slide, you can see the references used for this presentation.